Alright, so what is a decimal? Decimals are a different way of representing fractions. In fact, each place value of a decimal represents a different fraction whose denominator is a power of 10. So just like 234 can be broken down into 2 times 100 plus 3 times 10 plus 4 times 1, we can decompose or write an expanded notation the decimal 0.234 written as 2 times 1/10 plus 3 times 100th plus 4 times 1,000th. In this section, we're going to develop the idea of a decimal by writing and representing them in many ways. So let's talk about reading and writing decimals. To read a decimal mathematically, we read the number to the right of the decimal point and use the place value of the rightmost digit. If there also is a whole number part, we read this first from left to right and insert the word "and" for the decimal. For example, that 0, a decimal point, and a 7 should be read as 7/10ths. 0, a decimal point, and 2, 3 should be read 23/100ths. And a 6, a decimal point, a 4, and a 0 should be read as 6 and 40/100ths. The reason we read decimals mathematically is to reinforce place value. Reinforcing place value helps students understand the foundations, and it will enable them to order, add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions and decimals easier. So if we practice reading these decimals, you can also write them in words. So the first one, 234 thousandths. The next one, 983 10,000ths. C, 35 and 8/10ths. D, 7 and 4/100ths. This video goes along with a decimal booklet. If you don't have the booklet, it's fine. You can still follow along. So to do this booklet, you need a ruler, an orange highlighter, a yellow highlighter, and a blue highlighter. The reason we are using the various colors is to reinforce place value and to allow students to connect with the place value. So this square below represents the unit. Using the tick marks, draw vertical lines to connect them. Now answer these questions. How many equal pieces did you partition the square into? If the square is the whole unit, what fraction number represents each piece? And if the square is the whole unit, what word name represents each piece? Hopefully you answered correctly. You partitioned it into 10 pieces. So each piece is 1/10, and you could write that as a fraction or in words. Now shade 3 of the equal parts with an orange highlighter. What fraction number represents the shaded area? What fraction number represents the area that is not shaded? Did you get 3/10ths for the shaded area and 7/10ths for the unshaded area? Good. Moving on to the hundredths place. If the square below represents the unit, use the tick marks. This time draw vertical and horizontal lines to partition the unit into equal pieces. All right, how many pieces did you partition the square into? If the big square is the whole unit, what fraction number represents each small square piece? What word name represents each piece? Did you get 100 pieces that you partitioned the square into? And then each small square piece is 1/100th, and that's the same in words and in fractions. Now shade 30 small squares with a yellow highlighter. What fraction number represents the shaded area? Now compare your two grids. What relationship do you see between the area shaded orange on your first grid and the area shaded yellow on your second grid? One orange piece is how many times as large as a yellow piece? And one yellow piece is what part of an orange piece? Did you get 30 hundredths? And for the second question, the area shaded is the same. 3/10 is equivalent to 30 hundredths. One orange is 10 times as large as one yellow. One yellow piece is 1/10 of an orange piece. Now we want to shade 6 out of 10 parts. We're going to shade it using orange because they're tenths. So how many orange strips would we have? What fraction number is that? What word name is that? And then how many yellow squares would that be? You should have gotten 6 orange strips, which is 6/10, whether it's a fraction or in words, and it would be the equivalent of 60 yellow squares. 40 out of 100. Shade that. We're going to shade it yellow because hundredths is going to be in yellow. Write the fraction number, write the fraction word name, and then write the equivalent number of orange strips. It's 40 yellow squares, which is 40 over 100 as a fraction. We read it as 40 hundredths. It's also equivalent to 4 orange strips. You can continue working through that decimal booklet. Let's talk about the thousandths place. 10 1/1000ths is 1/100th. So 1 1,000th is 1/10 of 100th. If you look at this place value chart, I've highlighted the tenths in orange. Those were our strips. The hundredths in yellow, those were our small squares. And now we're going to look at thousandths, and we're going to highlight those blue. It would be really painful and tedious to actually break the grid into 1,000 pieces. So we're going to think of this as zooming in on one yellow square. And we divided that one yellow square into 10 pieces. And if we shade one of those 10 pieces, it is 1 1,000th. So this number, 324 thousandths in words, you can think of as 3/10 plus 2 hundredths plus 4 thousandths. In expanded form, we would say 3 times 1/10 plus 2 times 100th plus 4 times 1,000.